The reasons for doing this film that you're now about to see is twofold. Number one, because there is such a considerable interest from the general dog-loving community here in the UK in these dogs, I felt that a lot of what we're about to see can answer a lot of the questions that a prospective buyer may have on their mind, like the temperament of the dogs, how would they be as a guard dog, as well as being a companion dog, a pal, and a general house dog. I think that what we'll be seeing will answer most of those. Well, reason number two is because, well, the press in general over here has presented an image of the American Pitbull Terrier as some kind of a lunatic, dangerous, and some kind of a savage animal that the general public should be protected against. Well, I think that what we're about to see will allow everyone who sees this film to judge this for themselves, and to see for themselves too how the Fleet Street, the gentlemen from Fleet Street, have distorted these dogs to grotesque proportions. And let me say no more about it, except that you are now about to see these dogs as we, the people who own them, and who should know what they're like. Well, you're going to see them the way we see them, the way they really are, the natural American Pitbull Terrier, the pal, the companion, the athletic dog, and all that. See it for yourself. Very often, when we have a lot of visitors to Stockquest seeing the dogs, we will let the dogs out of their kennels, as we see here, one by one, to come out and meet the people personally. It must be said, very few of these people have met the dogs before, and vice versa. This one is Reid's beauty. Here we have Steffi. Here we have Sassy. Not exactly the image as portrayed by the Fleet Street journalists of a savage, man-eating beast. Would you say? Here we have Gypsy. Also, like the rest of them, very friendly. They like children in particular, as we can see here, along with the adults too. Here we have Tigress. And here we have Mini-Min. As we've seen, all the dogs' tails are wagging, they're friendly, they like the people, and it's very typical of the dogs when we have visitors to the place. And here we see Steffi pulling a log in the harness. Also, Steffi pulling the cart. You might hear in the background a squeaky toy. That's encourages Steffi to, it's a squeaky toy she's after. In this case, we have Skipper. This is a very old-time exercise from the United States. A lot of the old-time dogs, we use it here just as we see as an exercise. It's a great muscle builder. It's a form of dynamic tension. Here we're using cheese, bits of cheese, as bait for Skip. As in the credits at the end of this film, it's noted that all the filming is done here at Stockquest. That is our location. This will be noted in the credits at the end. Here we're just showing the general shape of Stockquest. Here we have Trudy demonstrating protecting and guarding qualities. You will hear in the background where we have been using, in this instance, the squeaky toy. There's Goldie, our Staffordshire Bull Terrier, seen in the window in the last shot. Here we're just showing a little of the spread of the place. And here's Dorothy. walking Goldie, our Staffordshire Bull Terrier, who we just saw a moment ago in the window. It seems that both Goldie and Dorothy are kept in good shape when they go out for these walks. Both of them look in pretty good shape. Goldie in particular is 11 years old. Here we have Dorothy walking American Pitbull Terrier, Reid's Rage. We can see it's more like Reggie taking Dorothy for a walk. Like most of the pit bulls, they pull. Here we have the two hard rubber balls thrown one after the other. Reggie will chase the one ball, bring it back, and drop it. And then the next ball is thrown, so as she's continuously running, chasing one ball, she brings it back, drops it, it's picked up, and then thrown again, giving her a good continuous workout, which she loves.
One more.
I think Reggie would do this all day long until she dropped, if we allowed it. 5 to 10 minutes is enough. All our dogs, all our American Pit Bull Terriers are registered with the Intercontinental Kennel Club. Here again, we see Goldie, our Staffordshire Bull Terrier. As mentioned, Goldie is 11 years old. She's quite fit, and she's very active. We've always encouraged Goldie to take her exercise and do all the things that she wants to do. Never try to make a dog do things it doesn't want to do, that clearly does not want to do it. But obviously Goldie loves this. And we let her do this for a little while, several times a week. As long as she wants to do it, we allow it. It's a bit of exercise for me too. Here's Dorothy throwing bits of cheese for Goldie to get her to run. Not that she wouldn't run without it, but this is her reward after her exercise. It was cheese like this that we used on Skipper earlier on when he was pulling the weighted rope, which we've seen in one of the earlier scenes. All the dogs love cheese. You'll be seeing them later on using more cheese. We throw it about and they'll jump up on things, they'll jump up on the table and jump down and run about. It's a reward.
Come behind me.
Needless to say, a bunch of the puppies.
There you go. Little poop. Come on. What are you doing? Oh, aren't you a beauty? What about that one, Dorothy?
Oh, lovely.
Your little cracker. Hey. Oh, you did. Oh, you did lovely. You little poop.
Oh, she's
Good, that's
beautiful.
it. That's it.
Oh, she's lovely. Oh,
Ah, look at that. Boop, boop, boop.
oh, she's lovely.
Boop.
Come on, then. See.
Oh, my goodness. Aren't you a beauty?
Okay.
That's it.
Where's that
Oh,
pop?
what are you doing? What's this one doing? What are you doing? Tenacity.
Where's that wee pop?
Oh, are you tenacious?
Pop, 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 pop.
What's this? Hey.
She's not looking towards the camera. She was lovely a
Oh,
minute
that's
ago
all.
from
I
you.
know that's what I'm saying. That'll speed things up. Stop filming now, whatever happens.
This is a terrific exercise for the dogs. In this case, it's Lady. Lady loves this. It's the squeaky toy again. After a few squeaks, and she knows what it is, she's encouraged, as we can see here. It's a good conditioner. Helps to keep the dogs happy. I find that all these kind of exercises helps with these particular dogs to burn off their aggressions. It keeps them contented and happy dogs. A good hard workout every day. Good for their condition, good for their mind, keeps them happy and healthy. Here we have Miss America. Miss America is a daughter to Steffi. She was sired by Al Capone. Again, with the squeaky toy. He's a very active bitch, Missy.
Just start the tires.
Very agile as well. That's a 4-foot jump. Missy does it without any great effort, as we can see here, and she loves it. Very agile, very intelligent little bitch, which we'll see in a few moments. We drop the ball into the bucket. Every time, Missy knocks the bucket over. Every time. Here's Steffi, again, after the squeaky toy. Give it a few squeaks, she knows what it is, and up she goes after it. And without much effort, every time. Here it's interesting. We've dropped the squeaky toy in the pedestal. Every time, Steffi wrestles the pedestal over and gets it. Sometimes it's more difficult than others, but Steffi knows the squeaky toy is in there. And she's very determined. She's going to get it. And finally, she does. Which she does every time, sooner or later. She'll keep it up until she does get it. That's her reward. Here's Tigress. Tigress, as we can see here, she gets the ball out a different way. She goes directly, head first in. She gets the ball out that way. And she does this every time. It's a big game with Tigress. Drop the ball in the bucket. She gets it out. Here we have young orangutan, just about 9 months old. He uses the same method as Tigress. Head first. And out comes the ball.
Good.
What we have on the wall behind me are 3 pedigrees, which covers just over 100 years of pure breeding of the American Pitbull Terriers, most of which are in my yard today. Starting from this pedigree here, which has the names of some of my own dogs. This traces on to this pedigree here. This one traces on to this one here, which, on the last line, contains the name of Cockney Charlie Lloyd's Pilot, which was a dog imported from England during about the late 1870s and was to have made its name in the States during the 1880s. Reid's Rapier, the pup named here, is a dog I bred several years ago. He was sired by Reid's Al Capone. Al now appears in quite a few pedigrees of the dogs here in the United Kingdom. The prominent dog in Al's pedigree is the dog up here, became very well known during the 1950s, Tudor's Dibo. He was considered one of the most prominent and talked about American Pit Bull Terrier of his time in the USA. This is the pedigree of Tudor's Dibo, the dog mentioned in the previous pedigree. Without going into a great amount of detail, we can now see by scanning this pedigree, top to bottom, you will see quite a variety of the names of very, very well-known American Pit Bull Terriers in America, in sporting dog circles of their time. This would be going back in years to the 1940s, 1930s, and back, which will then, after scanning this pedigree, take us on to the pedigree that follows. In the previous pedigree, we saw the names Corvino's Gimp and Shorty, which were prominent in the pedigree of Tudor's Dival. Again, without going into a lot of detail, if we refer to the last line on this pedigree in a second, as mentioned initially, Lloyd's Pilot, the dog that was imported from the United Kingdom over 100 years ago, what we would call today an old-time Staffordshire Bull Terrier, who was one of the very first dogs to make sporting dog history in America. Following this pedigree from the top to the bottom, we see Lloyd's Pilot named a number of times. And then as we go downwards, we see the names of other very, very well-known dogs, again, which would have been bred down from other old-time Staffordshire Bull Terriers, going way back into the 1860s and 1850s in some cases, imported from England. And now as we look through the names on this pedigree, as we go down, we see some very, very famous names going way back to the early 1900s and the late 1800s. See, Clark's Tramp, Colby's Gully, Colby's Pincher, Colby's Neats, and other such well-known of the Colby string of dogs, most of which, again, were bred down from, and fairly close up, in fact, on Lloyd's Pilot. What so many people unfamiliar with the breed will find interesting about these pedigrees is the fact that they've been taken from authentic old-time fighting dog records in America. It must be said that in America, in sporting dog circles, the breeders of these dogs left nothing to guesswork. And hence, we have these authentic records of the breedings of the dogs, the winners, the losers, etc., etc., very much along the lines of greyhound racing and purebred horse racing, where, as I say, very little is left to chance on the breeding. And henceforth, we have these authentic records as seen here. We don't know how many people here in the British Isles have authentic breeding of their dogs that go back as far as this, as we've seen here. But, and many amongst those people may feel that because of the breeding of the American Pitbull Terrier, that they've been some kind of a mongrel dog, because they were a fighting dog. However, that isn't so. And so for breed students, we have this historical documents as a matter of reference for those who like to check back on the breeding of their dogs from the early days in this country, here in England, to the dogs in America. They're able to do so via the papers that we've just had and seen here today. The leather goods we see here are harnesses. These are the kind of harnesses that I make myself, for the dogs exercising and pulling logs, pulling carts, as we've seen. This one here in particular, although it can be used for those purposes, a lot of people, as it's decorative, a little more elaborate, they like that. But it is no more effective than the one we saw previously, what I call a Y-shaped harness. These are made very, very strong, so as not only are they nice to look at, but they're functional, as with these collars here. The one on the right has the pyramid studs, being decorative. The one with the obvious spikes are solid brass. These are more, shall we say, for appearance and strength and durability. Here we have the leads, the far all leather lead, as seen, and here this is part of a lead. This is 24 inches long, solid brass, the brass section. The length of the leather handle depends on what the person requires. we have Mini-Min. Very active, beautiful-natured bitch. Here they are giving the dogs bits of cheese, which they love and which I mentioned earlier. Very often, say about twice a week, the dogs all get cheese. It's good for them, and not too often, a couple of times a week. Here is Tramp. Tramp is a young dog, beautiful-natured dog. He's around 65 pounds in weight. He is about 20 inches at the shoulder. Lovely nature. Friendly, playful, very, very active, and a very good guard dog. Very good guard. He is generally the type of dog that I'm trying to develop. I bred this dog myself. He was by Skipper from Trudy. Let's say, he's about 18 months old right now, around 65 pounds.
Now don't feed him, don't feed him.
He has been used at stud. I think he will make a good stud dog.
Okay, give him the...
Part of my stud team. Trudy. Trudy has a wonderful guarding instinct, very protective, and yet she knows the difference between friend and foe. She's very, very good with people in general, providing she knows they're here on friendly terms. Trudy's about 8 years old. She was one of the original imports into the British Isles. She's no longer used for breeding. She's retired. She's staying here with us. She's one of the family. That's Trudy. Lovely girl. And here we have Sassy. Sassy's very, very active. Easy to keep into condition.
Okay.
Beautiful muscular condition. The cameraman has really got her right in this one, showing the beautiful definition, musculature, activity, intelligence, everything we look for in an American Pitbull Terrier. She would be about 47 pounds in weight, around 18 to 19 inches at the shoulder. Very smart bitch, this. Here's Texas Mini. Mini would be around 70 pounds. She's carrying a little bit of weight right now. That doesn't slow her down. She jumps up and runs about with ease. Mini's around 4 years old. Lovely natured bitch. Very active. Getting her cheese. I recommend this to anyone. Little bits of cheese, several times a week. Does the dog no harm. They love it. It's good for the system, but not too often. Binds the dog up if used too often. Here's Beauty. One of the ones we saw earlier in the crowd scene. Nice condition. Beautiful nature. Beauty, who we see here, and Tigress, who we saw, and Mini-Min are daughters to Texas Mini. Beauty here is about 60 pounds, about 19 inches at the shoulder. Very active, very intelligent, a lovely temperament. It's a happy bitch. The old tail going there. She's enjoying herself.
Hold on. Yeah, what's this? What's this? There he's for the pup. What a lovely pup.
And here's Skipper. Skipper's a dynamo. He's a powerfully built dog, but very, very active, muscular, A beautiful natured dog. At the moment, Skip's my top stud dog. He's been producing some beautiful representative puppies, very much like himself. Most of the pups sired by Skipper are brindles of various shades, but he's a very, very dominant dog, very dominant for his coloring. He's easygoing, just loves people, and yet I understand most of the puppies that he's sired show a good protective instinct when brought up in the house, as a house dog, and around the property. They have good guarding qualities. In general, not always, but a high percentage are showing these qualities. Much admired today in most homes. Very active dog. Skip's about 57, 58 pounds. Here's Lucy. Lucy, being a sister to Trudy, who we saw a few frames ago. She's a heavier built bitch. She's around 19 inches, about 60 pounds. And quite a lively, active animal. Beautiful natured with those she knows. And here's young orangutan again, around 9 months old when this was filmed. He's around 20 inches at the shoulder, and at the moment around 60 pounds. I would expect this dog, when mature, to come out around a good solid 75 pounds and maybe 22 inches at the shoulder. Very, very active. He has bags of personality, like Tramp, and like most of the dogs here. He's very eager to please. He's as much admired. Many people who've come here to Stockquest and very interested to buy this dog. Here is Skipper pulling the cart. Like most things Skip does, he makes them look easy. The puppies seen here are sired by Skipper, and their mother is Gypsy.